Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Delilah Bartlett, coming to share a few things with you this morning. So excited to present this information. I did a really short kind of clip on social media yesterday about the intersectionality of women, and I wanted to come and talk about that a little bit. Um, it won't be very long. There's just some really good nuggets that I believe all women need to know, specifically dynamic women whose life has intersections. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean when I say intersection. And I'm also going to, that should afford some time for folks to join, for the live message to go out into the universe. And so, as I do that, I do want, as you're joining, you to just come in and say hello. Yep. Come in and say hello and join me. This is going to be real brief, but real good. And when I say good, I mean effective value add information. And so we are here to talk briefly about three things you need to know to best manage the intersectionality for women, women who do amazing things, not just in career, but maybe socially, maybe within ministry, maybe business, and maybe domestically as far as wife and mother. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. This is what really kind of put it heavy on my mind is like, where's the resource that says, how do you do this? How do you have a thriving career while possibly building an amazing business? How do you have an amazing business while building an effective ministry? And I don't hear people talking about this. I hear voices talking about, hey, you want to be an entrepreneur? Come over here and do these things. Or hey, you want career development, come over here and do this thing. But I don't hear anything really about identifying that there is an intersection, that things come together, or how to best manage, or things that we need to be on the lookout for. And so I want to come and talk about this fairly briefly. I'm going to highlight 3 points. I won't exhaust them, but I'll give you enough information so that as you dig deeper into the information, it'll help you manage these intersections. Now, I do understand that some of my sisters out here are amazing career professionals who are not looking to open a business, or I do understand some of my audience are women who have thriving ministries and are not looking to go back in the workforce. So you may be solo dolo, right? And focusing on one thing. But for those women who are like me, who do a lot of things and they intersect, how do we best manage those? And so here are 3 things I want to talk about. And there is some depth that we can get into because I've had quite a bit of life experience around this. If you don't know me like intimately, or you don't know all the things, just really quickly, a broad brush over who I am. A career professional, right? Almost 30 years in an industry, built a career from the front line to the top 1% in the organization. Business owner, right? So me and my husband own a couple of businesses. Ministry leader, I'm out here doing that, making sure that I'm helping people grow in their knowledge and understanding of who God is through Christ. And of course, just overall coach and leader, helping women specifically grow in faith, leadership, and confidence. And so I do all of these things. And so when I looked out in the world, like, man, who is doing all of these things that can tell me when I'm not doing enough to pull me somewhere higher, to put boundaries and guardrails around me as I grow and develop, to make sure that I am a safe place, not only for myself, but all the different entities that I engage in. And I didn't find anybody. Like, there was nobody out there like, hey, here's how you put it all together, right? Here's how you put it all together. And so this is just a brief tidbit. Again, I will not exhaust it all. There's several different things, considerations that you need to make being a dynamic woman. But here are 3 things that I want to share in an effort to make sure that you're building a good framework with all the stuff you got going on, right? And so the first is prioritization. Just looking down in my notes. Prioritization and time management sounds simple, but it is a staple. It needs to be foundational as you're around here doing a million things, right? And when I think about prioritization and time management, one of the first things that comes to my mind is, How do I prioritize? Based on what criteria am I prioritizing? And one of the first things that comes up after that are my values, right? So being clear on what is important to me, right? You probably at this point in your life have done some level of values assessment. If you haven't, I know resources. Feel free to leave a note in the comment like, hey, I need the resource on values assessment. But when you look at prioritization, you're not just prioritizing based on the thing that's happening now, right? Because if that's the case, you're going to be all over the place getting nowhere. You want to prioritize based on two key things: one, your values; two, your goals. Right. And so as you get more clear on what's really important to you and what you're driving to do, what does success look like, then you're able to prioritize different aspects of your life and different functions based on those two key elements, right? Values and goals. And so, what that looks like is, if one of my values is leadership, another one of my values is faith, another one is service, right? I'm thinking about how the actions that I take, right? My career, my businesses, each business individually, the ministry. I'm thinking about how those activities drive toward my goal and they align to my values. Schedule and boundaries. You need schedule and boundaries. I'm gonna have to keep this going in order to get through all three because we're still in prioritization and in time management. But in the bucket of time management and prioritization, schedules and boundaries. You have to allocate your time. It's not you cannot. If you're going to be successful, I highly, highly encourage you to schedule. Here is where I allot time toward my career, right? Knowing that there's agility and flexibility inside of that, right? If something were to pop up in a time where I have not allocated time for the career, then I need to possibly adjust and create capacity for that in other buckets, right? But having a framework for boundaries to know this is when I focus on X, this is when I focus on Y, this is when I focus on Z. Doing so will make sure, or at least support, you having momentum to be able to move all things forward. Because again, remember, I'm talking to my dynamic women who do more than one thing, right? Women who got more than one pot on the stove. Like you have to have a time carved out where you give things focus, because you're not looking to come up short in any one of these areas. You're doing all things in excellence. There's not like you're pulling away from one thing in order to make one thing great. You're showing up as the example because everything I do is faith-based, and I believe that, of course, the kingdom, right, is the standard. There's several different accounts in the Bible that talks about, Daniel comes to mind, how kingdom citizens are the standard and do everything in excellence. And so you want to do everything in excellence. And so carving out time to do that, having boundaries, having schedule on when you do what exercise is critical. And you do have some things that brush over, right? They never stop. Me being a wife, it never stops. Me being a mother of adult children, it never stops, right? But there needs to be specific and intentional times that I dedicate to spending with my husband, right? Date night, right? A movie night, or Zoom meeting with all the kids. There needs to be intentional time that I'm dedicating to even those things that span broadly across my life. I encourage you to do the same, right? So you have this kind of schedule and boundaries to make sure all things are moving forward. So schedule and boundaries. This thing about I want to get really dial in really quickly to my women in ministry. Thank you, first of all, thank you for being willing to go out and spread the word of the kingdom of God. Thank you for creating disciples, bringing women into your space in order to build their faith and their knowledge and wisdom of God. Thank you for doing that. Here's where I want to help you. This intersection of tent making and ministry. I call it tent making and ministry. One of my good sisters, and I'll get into that point of having a good sister in a minute. One of my good sisters helped me with that language, tent making. I'm really clear. I've gotten more hyper clear on what I do for tent making, right? My job, and what I do for ministry. When you look at the Bible, it has examples on tent making and ministry. So again, really honing into my women who are out here doing amazing things for the kingdom of God. We call it ministry. Everybody's called to be a minister. But Paul was a tent maker, right? He had a job. When you look at the account in the Bible, Paul had a job, but Paul was also an amazing, dope discipler, apostle in the kingdom of God. But it was clear he made tents, and it was clear he had ministry. And so I'm really clear, and I hope this helps you on. There's a list of things. There are a list of things. There is a list of things that I do to create money, right? My job creates money. Our businesses create money. Here are the things I do to create money, right? I'm going to use two hands just to make sure we're clear. Here's what I do to do ministry, right? And so even though my ministry will overlap with my job, because I'm always being a kingdom citizen, my job and my businesses, there are some activities, right? You guys see me doing workshops. You guys see me doing weekly Bible studies. You guys see me doing brunches and retreats and all of these things. The things that I do specifically for ministry are not set up to create money. That's what my tent building is for. I'm clear on it, right? These things, I'm just trying to not come in the red and lose too much money as I'm doing brunches and retreats, because I'm doing them, right, as a part of my ministry. Weekly Bible studies as a part of the ministry, weekly prayer Wednesday mornings as a part of the ministry. So what is my tent building and what is my ministry? Hoping that helps you. So when you look at the activities that you do, specifically right now, my women who intersect with business and ministry, when you look at the activities you do, be clear on what's generating money, right? What did God give you to generate money? And what did God give you clearly? Because to me, it became very clear on this is ministry. This is not about turning a profit. This is you pouring out, Delilah. And so those are the things I really want to say about prioritization prioritization and time management. The second thing you want to do, and I'm going to try to go through these more quickly, as you look to manage the dynamic elements of your life, because you're a woman with many things going on, is to make sure that you have a support system. You heard me a minute ago mention my sister who gave me the language about tent building. Like, you need people around you, one, who are going to encourage you, two, that are going to build you up. But three, that's really primarily going to be a kind of your some people call them their personal board of directors, right? Some people call them their go-tos, whatever you language or a term you may give them. You need people around you to help counsel you. The word says that there's wisdom in counsel, and so you need people around you in different areas, right? The same person who helps me grow spiritually may not be the same person who helps me understand how to be stronger financially, and the same person who helps me be stronger financially may not be the same person that coaches me in personal development. And the same person who coaches me in personal development may not be the same rock that I have to help me understand how to grow intellectually. And so you need people around you because you're so dynamic. You having one coach, just listen to this. If you were playing basketball, because we're talking about women who do dynamic things, you do a lot of stuff, right? If in one of those things you did, let's look at sports. You were volleyball, basketball, baseball. If you had a volleyball coach, your volleyball coach is going to tell you amazing things on how to attack the net, how to serve, how to do all the amazing things you need to do in volleyball. But if you take that volleyball coach over to your basketball lane, they're not going to have the same efficacy. They're not going to be able to help you be as effective that you can in basketball. Why? Because you need a basketball coach. So when you look across, the second point again that I'm making is leveraging a support system, leveraging a support system as you look across all the things that you're doing, right? My case, career, business owner, ministry leader, mother, wife, right? Disciple maker, coach, leader. As I look across this broad span of things that I do, there's no one person that can pour into all of that. So make sure you have a support system, and make sure your support system is rich enough to be able to support you in all the things that you have going on. If you see a gap, maybe that's the first step you should take, right? Is a gap assessment. Looking across, saying, okay, who's on my squad? Here are the things that I'm doing. Maybe in that vertical, right? You're writing down who's on your squad in that vertical. And if you got something missing, figure out who's giving up that thing and go and engage them so that you can make sure you have the right level of support. So first thing we talked about for women, the intersectionality of dynamic women, prioritization and time management. Second system, having a squad, right? It is important. The last thing I want to touch on, it was a bit of a tie. I think I'm going to be able to weave it together. But the last thing I want to touch on is continuous personal and professional development. You don't know everything. What you know right now is amazing because it's gotten you this far. You've been able to be successful in these different places. My God, you're dope. My hat is off to you, but there's more to learn. And so continuing to again, we have identified at this point in your mind, you've already identified these distinct verticals in which you operate, right? And so in those verticals, continuing to develop yourself in those verticals. So that may be reading, that may be workshops, that may be whatever you do to learn. For me, it's their workshops and there are different master classes I may take to continue to grow in the areas in which I'm called to lead in. And so to continue to grow in those things, the thing that was that's the main point. The thing that was competing with that main point was some of you already have this information. Because I want to expose myself a little bit as I help you out right here. We go to so many classes. We've taken DISC assessments. We've taken Gallup strength assessments. We've taken ministry assessment. Where's my spiritual gift? We have all this information about ourselves. We've gone to brunches and conferences. We got binders of notes and all kind of thing. I encourage you, maybe just one, right? Maybe just one. Find one binder or one note or one test. Go back and revisit it. See what it told you to do, right? It probably gave you at least 5 to 10 action items to take, and go back and take one of them. And if you've already taken one of the actions, go back and take the second one. My point in saying that is that we're sitting on gold mines and we're not using the information. We have lacked being able to take information into application. And so before or in parallel, at minimum in parallel, I want to say before, but in parallel to continuing to grow in the verticals that we've established, go back and mine the goal that you already have. I'm sure, I'm certain, I know who I'm talking to. I have been called to be a leader of leaders. And so I know as leaders, you have this information. You have some level of information about yourself that you've not done anything with. I need you, sis, to go back and unmind that goal. Like, go into your treasure trove of journals, go into your treasure trove of assessments, and figure out what you've left on the shelf. Because as you continue to evolve and mature in the verticals, right? We talked about the different things that you do because you're so freaking dope, and the different verticals that you're showing up and you're doing amazing things. Go back and figure out what you've left on the shelf that you've already kind of garnered, and start to implement those things. Because to be honest, some of y'all paying for stuff you already have. Some of y'all showing up to master classes and networking groups and all of these amazing resources to go get information you already have. So go back and get that, but absolutely be clear on as you look forward, near term and long term, in your vertical, on what's the next level of information that you need. Think about it like I was going to say college, but we're just going to go high school. Think about it like if you were in a freshman year of high school, be thinking about what classes you're going to take sophomore year, junior year, senior year, right? So as you're in this vertical career, I'm in a career, still building a fabulous career. I'm thinking about, okay, what's next? What do I need to learn to continue to evolve and mature in my career? In my business vertical, I'm thinking about, okay, here's where I am. What do I need next to evolve in this, right? In my ministry level, I have no choice. God is pulling me, and, and this is true for all things. God is pulling me to this is what we're learning in this season. And if you want to know for me what that is right now, that's kingdom and in the fourth dimension spiritual realm. So I mean, it's continuing to learn and evolve in the verticals but you show up. So dynamic women, you do phenomenal stuff. And I really want to get into this a little bit more. And so I'll figure out how to do that. But I just wanted to first come and drop those three nuggets on as you do this thing. Here's what people weren't available to tell me. There's no one, it feels like they don't want to expose themselves. Like if you're over here, you don't want to say you're over here. And if you're over here, I don't want to say I'm over there. And so it leaves people like us who are dynamic, who do multiple things, kind of out here to fend for ourselves. And so I'm looking to fill that void, where you do not have to fend for yourself if you're a dynamic woman who does multiple things. But these are the top three things. I believe they're top because they came to me first. Top three things I wanted to share with you on how to best manage and create success in all verticals of your dynamic life. One, just to recap, we talked about prioritization and time management. Go back, listen to the nuggets around that. Two, we talked about building and leveraging an amazing network, right? You're going to need that. And three, we talked about this idea and need for continuous growth and learning, and you're going to need that in order to serve the people that you've been called to serve. All of this, let's be clear, all of this is about helping other people. You guys know by now, my definition of success is evolving and becoming the best version of myself in order to be the best help to those around me. Very little of this is about you as a person. Most of this is about those around you. And so I wanted to let that go. I wanted to help you guys with that. I do want to remind you of a few things. One, and I'm putting together a little package, and I'm going to share this on social media because I realize, Delilah, you do a lot of things and people may not be clear on what you do. And so there's things that we do. I do free weekly a women's Bible study on Mondays, women's time of prayer on Wednesdays, monthly free leadership masterclasses that really come under the umbrella of the Leader of Peers. That's my platform really dedicated to leadership content. So that's monthly, quarterly confidence masterclasses, aka personal development confidence masterclasses. That happens quarterly, also on the platform of the Leader of Peers. And you can find all of the outlets on DelilahBartlett.com, because again, this is multi-dimensional, dynamic women, right? So I do multiple things. And so weekly Bible study, weekly prayer, that's kind of under the Delilah's Downloads brand, complimentary monthly leadership, quarterly personal development, confidence development, also that's under the Leader of Peers brand, all found under DelilahBartlett.com. And then what do I want? Oh, and then the retreat, the big retreat, right? That's under the Delilah's Downloads brand, because it's about ministry, right? But it's about the wholer person. And so when I think the wholer woman, right, I think about the ministry. And so that I put that under Delilah's Downloads, but all under Delilah Bartlett. But that's what, so I'm giving, right? I'm giving all of these things. The first things I labeled off are all complimentary, right? Bible study, prayer, monthly leadership, quarterly confidence, personal development, all complimentary. And then for a small, affordable investment, things like the brunch that happens every May, things like retreat that happens every October. But all of this is DelilahBartlett.com. You can find it. But I brought that up to say this Tuesday is the monthly leadership masterclass, and I think the topic this month is agility and perseverance, kind of what we need as business business owners and career professionals. To be agile and persevere. And so that'll happen. Again, all of this is DelilahBartlett.com. You can go check that out. But sign up for that masterclass. It's happening this Tuesday. And at some point, I'm going to dig into this intersectionality thing. And it would be very helpful and valuable to me for those of you who are checking in to say, yep, makes sense to me. We do need to talk about this. I want to go deeper in the content. It just helps me understand kind of what you find valuable and what you don't. Because again, I'm not here just to be seen and talk. I'm here to help. And so if you're like, yep, no, don't need to know about this, I need to know more about that. It helps me. So I am pausing to see if there are any immediate questions, comments. I think I can see one platform, but not the other. I'm on Facebook and YouTube. So I say that to say, if you're posting something at this moment and I'm not able to see it, my bad. I'm going to look at the post after comments after we're done here, and I'll answer any questions that may be there. I also ask if this is valuable, and you know other women around you that um, are like you, right? Intersectionality. Um, share this video with them. Let them, to one, let them know, girl, you are not by yourself. There are other people out here like doing big giant jobs and trying to do other things, and how do I do it, and am I wrong, am I right? Like, there are other people out here thinking through those things, working through those things. One, share it with them so they know they're not alone, and two, share it with them for the actionable content, um, and helping them be successful. Okay. All right. Okay, that's what we have. I'll answer any questions that may be there. Don't forget to sign up for this week. These braids are new, y'all. I'm trying to. Okay. Don't forget to sign up for this coming Tuesday's leadership masterclass on agility. Is so necessary, because if you're not changing, things are still changing. And so, what do you do with that? And how do you create amazingness in that? I think that's it. Okay. You guys have a fabulous, fabulous day. It's always so good to spend time with you. I look forward to talking with you. You know, I'm going to say, let's just go ahead and get big. Yes, thank you so much. I got to show this comment because, yeah, it makes me feel good on the inside. And so, thank you guys so much for joining again. Leave comments. I'll answer questions. I'm here to help. Let me know how I can best help you. And in the meantime, let's just go ahead and get big. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.